Hey guys, how's it going? This is Khan and welcome to episode 111 of Good or Garbage, the number one place where you can find out what stuff is being sold in the division on a weekly basis. And this week is the week of self-preserved, because if you look in the description in the heads up section, you'll see that a very large majority of the weapons are sporting self-preserve this week. I have no idea why. There are a lot of 280 plus gear score weapons being sold. Some weapons are really good for the people who are doing the 29 challenge or the 29 movement, or however you want to call that. If you are doing that and you're hanging out in the DZ sitting at level 29, there are some pretty good stuff being sold around, so you may want to check this out, see what stuff is being sold, see what works out for you, and yeah, that'll do it. Let's go. All right, now let's move on to the attachments for this week. This week at the Advanced Weaponry Vendor, we have an extended magazine with 112.5 magazine size, 4% critical hit damage, and 4.7% rate of fire. Now, because this is generally in the beginning stages of me looking through this attachment may be decent, or there may be a better version this week. If you see this in the video, then that means there isn't. It only costs regular credits. I know a lot of people have much higher magazine sizes and rates of fire, so this is not the best of the best, but if you are a newer agent and looking for an extended magazine, this could help you out. Now, also looking at the Advanced Weaponry Vendor, we have the Loud Vent Break for this week. It has 18% critical hit damage, 2.5% stability, 5% optimal range, and 42% increased threat. Now, the increased threat is rather on the low side, which is pretty good. The 18% damage could, of course, be higher at 19. Stability, I don't think most people who will be using this for the SMG, which is where range would benefit, need any stability. Although the house does jump around a little bit, it may help out a little bit, but personally I would rather have I would rather have a lot of other things besides stability on this. But you could just wait it out, or if you don't have anything better, then this could help you out. So this is what's being sold at the Advanced Weaponry Vendor. If you need something like this, it only costs regular credit, so go ahead and check it out. Over at East 40th Street, we have an extended magazine being sold with 111.5% magazine size. It also comes with 3% critical hit chance and 4% critical hit damage. Now, a lot of people are playing this 29 where they make a character, get it to level 29, and then just hang out in the dark zone or in checkpoints, and then just play PvP without having a lot of stuff going on to kind of change the game, so to say. This is more on aiming and building your build for skills and gunplay. I don't personally play it, but I know a lot of people do play it, or they're starting to play it. And if you have been looking for a magazine with crit chance and crit damage, then you can definitely go ahead and check this out, see if it helps you out until you get a better magazine in terms of size. But the 3% critical hit chance and the 4% damage are still pretty good. So if you are okay with this, then go ahead over to East 40th Street and check it out. At DZ5, we have a very nice high velocity magazine being sold this week, coming in with 7.5% critical hit chance, 4% critical hit damage, and 4.9% rate of fire. Now, I have seen the rate of fire up over 5%, so there is room for improvement on these, but if you don't have anything better, then definitely go and check this out, especially if you plan on using this with Lone Star. This is excellent, but you can use this for other weapons as well. If you decide to pick this up, head on over to DZ5 and let me know how many of them do you buy. At the Wolves Den this week at the Weapons Vendor, we have a Compensator attachment. This one coming in with 13.5% stability, 5.5% headshot damage, 4% critical hit damage. Now, if you are looking for something to kind of level out your shooting, maybe you need this for a bit of extra stability so that you can hit your shots, you can go over to the Wolves Den and check this out. It will only cost you regular credits, so it's not a big deal if you don't like it. And that extra headshot damage and crit damage is very good for something like this. So if you are looking for something like this and you're interested, go over to the Wolves Den, check it out. Now let's go take a look at this week's gear mods. This week at Madison Stand, there is a prototype electronics mod being sold with 188 electronics and 3% damage to elites. Now, if you are looking for some damage to elites, so far this is the only one that I've seen this week. So if you need this, go ahead and pick it up. But 188 electronics is a little bit on the low side and probably not what most people are looking for. But I did make a promise that if I saw these things, I would shout them out no matter how good or how bad they are. So there you go. At Camp Clinton at the special equipment vendor, we have an electronics mod being sold with 260 electronics. It also comes with the never so popular 2% all resistance. So all resistance is probably one of the least popular major attributes for any of the mods, and this has 2% of it, baby. Don't really recommend it, especially since it costs Phoenix credits, but I don't know what kind of builds some people are experimenting with. Maybe someone is trying to stack all resistance. I don't know. But if that is the case, then this is here to help you out. So if you are looking for something like this, head over to Camp Clinton and check it out at the special equipment vendor. At West 39th Street, there is a firearms mod being sold with 262 firearms and 2.5% exotic damage resilience. If you are looking for something like this, you want that nice EDR and you want a pretty decent dose of firearms, 262 is not bad. Then you can go over to West 39th Street and then go and pick that up. In the base of operations at the Dark Zone gear vendor, there is a prototype performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal being sold. Now, if you are looking for some self-heals or you're trying to stay alive or you're a lone wolf, then this could help you out. It will cost you Dark Zone credits, so keep that in mind. If you do need this, then go ahead over back to the base and go to the Dark Zone vendor that's kind of tucked away in the corner and go check it out. At East 31st Street, there is a stamina mod being sold this week with 260 stamina and 3% skill haste. If you are looking for some stamina mods and you are trying to get some skill haste for maybe some heals or something like that, then you can go over to East 31st Street and pick this up. Just remember, it will cost you Dark Zone credits. Now let's take a look at the 280 to 283 gear score items. At Park Avenue this week, we have the Covert SRS sniper rifle. This thing coming in with 164 headshot damage. The talents for this are Fierce, Adept, and Determined. I actually like Determined. I think Determined is a great talent to have, especially if you have it in the third slot. Anytime you have one of these in the third slot, you can always do a lot more with your super, and I think that really helps out the game a lot. So if you are some kind of a support player and you are playing the sniper, then you can have Determined and use your super and then have it come right back if you get your kills, and then be able to use it again for your teammates to help them out, which is pretty good. The other thing that is kind of a little bit worrying about this weapon in particular is that it has Adept and Fierce, which both require quite a bit of electronics. But you know, if you are running support, then you may have that amount of electronics, but having that amount of electronics and firearms seems a little bit difficult to come by for Fierce. But you know, you could always roll Fierce off and do something else with it, or you could roll Adept off and do something else with that. But the requirements for Fierce are quite higher than Adept, so it's totally up to you. If you decide to pick this up, remember it's over at Park Avenue, and let me know if you pick it up. At West 42nd Street, there is a Gear Score 281 MP7 being sold this week, coming in with 21.5% critical hit chance. The talents that we have are Talented, Skilled, and Deadly. Now, Deadly being in the third slot is a little bit of a waste, because I think most times people can generally hit Deadly, and unfortunately Talented is again not in the third slot, so this is a little bit of a toss up. But then the other thing is also Skilled, which is also not a bad talent to have if you are going to be using. I still think Determined is better for what it does, but this is also quite electronics heavy. So if you do decide to go with something like this, you can probably make it work if you have an electronics build. The requirements for firearms are not that much for Talented, but for Skilled they are a little bit high on the high side, so you may want to roll this off if you are running the MP7. But the MP7 has a really really small magazine. It's not the number one SMG as it was once, but it still is decent if you are using it with the right setup. But I don't really personally think that these talents work out to be the best for PvP. Deadly is still a nice talent to have. If you can figure out a way to make this work, let me know in the comment section down below. At East 34th Street, we have the Infantry MG5 light machine gun. This thing coming in at a gear score of 280 with 22% damage to targets out of cover. The talents for this bad boy are self-preserved, surprise, surprise for this week. We also have ferocious and we have brutal in the third slot. If this thing had ferocious in the third and brutal in the second, this would be great. Tony the Tiger style, great for PvE, but unfortunately it does not. So we still have to work with self-preserved. We still have ferocious. Ferocious is a bit of an even spread of 38-32. If you do have that much electronics, then you're good to go, but I think the majority of the people don't really have that much spec into electronics, so you will have some dancing to do with this, or you can always swap this out for something else. Personally, I would say if you are going to swap it out, go for deadly, because then that way you'd have brutal, you'd have deadly, and then deadly working with self-preserve might give you some more health back. And then with the infantry MG5, you can spec into something with high crit chance on maybe like your scope or something like that. Unfortunately, we haven't seen too many of those for this week, but there have been some really good ones in previous weeks. So if you've been keeping up with the channel, then you probably should already have that stuff, and then you can deck it out. If you've missed any of that stuff, or if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when this thing drops every week, and then you can get your agent up to par so that you can pick up some gems like this and use them to the best of their abilities. At the Dark Zone vendor in DZ3, we have a gear score 281 tactical SAS G12 shotgun. Now this, especially if you're running the 29, you're probably gonna want to take a look at this and pick one up because it's kind of ridiculous. All right, so let's get into this. The stagger on this is 327. It also comes with the so popular talent, and you can already see the second one, Unforgiving. It also comes with the ridiculously popular talent Responsive, and then it also comes with Talented. So if you are running Talented or looking for Talented in the third slot, or if you are running a slight electronics build and you want to have Talented, then you can definitely pick this up. Or if you want to have this as just a backup weapon to boost your skill power so that you can use this, bang bang bang, get the kill, get your skills up, and then heal yourself or do whatever you're going to do with your next skill, then you can definitely do that, especially coming in with Responsive and Unforgiving. This is pretty much going to be the go-to tactical shotgun outside of the Showstopper. I think in the DZ, especially if you're running the 29, this is definitely going to be something you want to look out for. So if you need this, definitely head over to the vendor over in DZ3. Go grab these weapons this week. It's fire. At East 40th Street, we have a gear score 281 LVOAC. This is probably one of the more populars outside of the lightweight M4, and I think the lightweight M4 was slightly more popular just because you could craft it. The LVOAC didn't really have a blueprint. That was kind of sad because I like the LVOAC, but you know, the LVOAC and the lightweight M4 were for the same family, so it didn't really matter anyway. So when it comes down to it, the LVOAC is a fan favorite for a lot of people, and this one comes in with 22% enemy armor damage. The talents that it have are Competent, Talented, and Adept. For some odd reason, they just do not want to put Talented in the third slot so that you can have this for free, but I guess it is what it is. Now, I'm not sure if they're doing this for this 29 Dark Zone movement thing that's going on. A lot of people are playing with a level 29 character in the Dark Zone so that they don't have any of the things going on with the the classified, so they just want to play straight up with high-end weapons and high-end stuff. And you know, fair enough, if that's what they want to do. I believe the I guess the signature weapons probably should still be in there, but if you are looking for something like this, you can go ahead and pick it up at East 40th Street. You will need quite a bit of electronics to get all of this to work. So if this is something that you're looking for, maybe having adept, having talented, or having competent and adept used to be really good back in the day, but right now, I don't know. I don't play the 29, so if you guys do play that and this is something that works for you, or you think it is recommended, let me know down in the comments, and then I'll try and keep an eye out on this stuff for future videos. Over at Camp Clinton, the special equipment vendor has a ton of 280 plus weapons for sale this week. Starting off, there is a Liberator, but I'm not really going to talk about that. You can find that in the heads up description. It ain't all that great. But he does have the Pakhan. There is also another Pakhan in the heads up description that's being sold in the base of operations. Personally, I prefer this one. This one comes in with a gear score of 282, comes with 20% damage to targets out of cover. It also comes with self-preserved. If you look in the heads up section, a lot of weapons are coming in with self-preserved this week for some strange reason, but that is the case. With self-preserved, critical hits of this weapon will give you 3% of a heal for all of the damage that you deal. So if you're stacking into crit or crit damage, then having self-preserve could help you out and keep you alive. It also comes with vicious. Critical hit chances increased by 10%. This works really well with self-preserve, which is why this is higher on my recommendation list for this type of weapon than the one that's being sold in the base of operations. And then it also comes with Pakhan. Each kill makes the next reload have 20% extra bullets compared to its base. So basically, if you kill something, you reload, you get more bullets so that you can kill more stuff, and it kind of goes into this cycle of doing that over and over again. So it's not too bad, not the greatest thing, but if you are running some crits, then this could work out for you. Now the next thing that's being sold, is I need to get through this, there's the military M9 sidearm. This one coming in with Adept. Again, not really my favorite. I don't really like Adept on sidearms, just because once you switch back to your main weapon, Adept doesn't stay unless they change that, and that was kind of a bummer. If it had stayed, then it might not be too bad, but as far as I remember, it goes away once you get Adept to proc, and then once you switch weapons, it goes away. Now the last thing we can look at over at Camp Clinton is the Socom M1A. This one coming in at a gear score of 281. Socom M1A used to be the #1 sniper rifle that a lot of people loved, and oh how it has fallen from grace. So with this thing at a gear score of 281, we have 156 headshot damage. It also comes with the talents Intense, Predatory, and Vicious. So Vicious we talked about earlier. This one comes in with critical chance is increased by 10% if you have 2 segments of health. Not too bad if you're playing sniper. And then it also comes with Predatory, which would help give you your health back once you get those kills, working really well with Vicious, so that it'll keep you topped off so that you can have your crit chance increased by 10%. I like the synergy of this. And then we have Intense, but I would probably say if you're going to keep the setup the way that it is with Vicious, you might want to put Deadly on this so that you can maximize your damage potential with Vicious, and then getting those kills with Predatory so that you can stay topped out. Seems like a pretty good circle if you get rid of Intense and then put Deadly on there. But it's all up to you, depending on how you want to make your build. If you do pick up any of this stuff from Camp Clinton, let me know in the comment section below. What do you pick up? And do you guys like me talking about these weapons and how the synergy works for the talents and all that other stuff? Let me know that as well, because I'm trying to figure out what it is you guys are looking for. I know a lot of the OGs are kind of done with buying stuff and they're just playing the game to have fun, but I know for some of the newer people who are coming to the game or just picked it up or still don't really know a lot of things about the game, what do you guys need to know? Let me know in the comment section and I'll try and hook you up. This week over at East 53rd Street, we have a gear score 281 Marine Super 90 with 333.5% stagger. It also comes with the talents Capable, comes with Talented, and it comes with Competent in the third slot. Now, unfortunately, Talented isn't in the third slot, which kind of makes this a little bit not as highly recommended as it could be. Talented would have been awesome in the third slot with Competent and maybe even the second. But unfortunately, this is what we get. Now, with these talents, Capable will give you increased handling for 15 seconds after you use a skill. And then with Competent, you will get increased damage by 10% for 15 seconds after using a skill. So these two work hand in hand. Unfortunately, the requirements for Talented are quite steep. And if you do decide to spec into electronics for this, or if you're spec'd into electronics, then you can have this, and every time you kill an enemy, you'll get an increase to your skill power for 20 seconds, and then if you kill another enemy, it resets the timer. Now, the thing about this is you are going to have to make a trade-off, because with Capable, you have 4,790 firearms that is required for this, and getting that amount of firearms and that amount of skill power together, I don't think is really going to work. So if you decide to go for either one, you're going to have to get rid of one or the other. If you do decide to pick this up, let me know in the comment section down below. Now it's time to wrap things up in the 284 plus gear score section. In the gear score 284 plus section, we are back again in DZ3 at the vendor, and this week we have the First Wave X45 sidearm. Now, the great thing about this, and I think a lot of the 29 people are going to be looking out for this, is it also comes with Harmful. Now, to be honest with you guys, this is actually the sidearm that I use for this character. Unfortunately, I don't have the same gear score, so my damage is a bit lower, but now that we have one at 284, I think I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna pick this up, and yeah, I highly recommend that you do the same. If you are doing PvP in the dark zone and you are running a 24 or 29, or if you are doing anything in the dark zone and you just want to have a really trusty sidearm that you can rely on, that has some kind of utilitarian talent on it, Harmful is one of the best ones. It's always been popular, so go ahead over to DZ3 and to the vendor and check that out. And also, while we're still here, there is a military RPK 74M being sold with a gear score of 284. There are a couple caveats with this weapon, but let's break down what do we get with this. It comes with 21% damage to targets out of cover. The talents are Fierce, Deadly, and Meticulous. Personally, I don't really like Meticulous in the third slot, just because really and truly, if you're going to be using the RPK or using light machine guns, you're probably going to be running Lone Star. And if you are running Lone Star, the last thing you want to do is have even more bullets to stop you from getting your Lone Star buff. So I'm kind of not a big fan of this, although I do like Deadly and I do like Fierce. I wish Fierce was in the third slot instead of Meticulous, but this is what we get. So if you decide to pick this up and run with it, more than likely you won't be running it with a Lone Star, but you know, if you are running the 29, then you won't have a Lone Star anyway, so this could work out for you. And then having all of those bullets, making sure to just keep peppering the enemy if you get a kill or something, could work out for you if you're doing a 2v1 or a 3v1 or 3v2, or if you're just going through PvE enemies, then this could work out for you. Let me know if you decide to pick this up. Head on over to DZ3 and check it out. Alright guys, that is it for this week's Good or Garbage. I hope you found it very useful. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. And if you do hit the bell for notifications, just be warned that YouTube and Google are not really the greatest at sending those damn things. So you may get an invitation to hear about something new. You may not. Just be on the lookout and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that other stuff, and you can find out more about me. Don't forget, we're selling merch and global event coming soon.